Okay guys, so yesterday we were talking about rotations, and basically what we did is we drew out a chart and we labeled our y-axis, we labeled our x-axis, and we labeled each quadrant based on what the coordinates inside those quadrants looked like. So this would be a negative plus quadrant, this would be a plus plus quadrant, this would be a plus minus quadrant, and this would be a minus minus quadrant. And then we were looking at what happens every time we move based on what it was asking. So if I went from here and I went 90 degrees, I'd be flipping down one quadrant to the right. If I went 180 degrees, I'd go 90, 180, and I'd be in this quadrant. If I went 270, I'd go boom, 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 and I'd be up in this quadrant, or up in this quadrant here. Okay, and we also noticed there were some similarities that came from each time we did rotations. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to look specifically at how to easily find the new coordinates of a rotation, and we're going to do that in the context of what happens each time we do each one. So I'm going to go through about 5 or 6 examples, and then you're going to have the rest of the period today to finish a packet of practicing your rotations. Okay, with that being said, let's dive right into it. So let's take a look at a 90-degree rotation. Let's take this point here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll say negative 5, 6. Oops. 6 is right here. Okay, so this will be point A, which is at negative 5, 6. Okay, and I'm going to grab my whiteboard real quick to practice with. So there is my whiteboard from yesterday. So I'm at negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to be right here. And when I go 90 degrees, my x-axis now becomes the y, and my y-axis now becomes the x. Okay? And the way that looks is, it's going to flip. So I'm going to flip my coordinates. 6, 5. And then I'm going to look at what new quadrant I am. So this would be, again, my negative plus, this is my plus plus, this is my plus minus, and this is my minus minus. So I flip my axes, so my coordinates flip, and then I just bring my signs into each one back. And that would be my result of this rotation would be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be my A prime. Okay, that's what a 90-degree rotation looks like. So again, I'm going to flip my coordinates, and then I'm going to bring my signs in to whatever coordinate I land in. Okay, let's take a look at 180 degrees. So let's put our coordinate this time. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm at negative 3, 4 is where my A prime is. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Remember, we're going 180 degrees, so here I'm in my minus plus. This is my plus plus. This is my plus minus quadrant. This is my minus minus quadrant. So if I'm looking at that, I'm going 180 degrees. My first rotation is going to bring me into this quadrant and flip my points. That's going to be well, actually we'll do it in a different color. So 90 degrees is going to flip my coordinates, bring my positive signs back, okay? When I go to my next quadrant, I'm going to flip down here, and I'm going to be at my flip them again, and I'm going to bring back in my new signs, which will put me at plus minus. Okay? This is where I'm going to be. So now all I have to do is regraph this at 3, negative 4, and that's the result of my 180-degree rotation. I'm just paying attention to what quadrant I'm moving into. If I whoops, wrong button. If I came down here now and I did a 270-degree rotation, I'm going to start, we'll say, let's put it in at negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go negative 2, 5. Okay? Now 270 degrees, this would be 90, 180, so 270 is going to be all the way down here. So I know that this is my minus plus quadrant, this is my plus plus quadrant, this is my plus minus quadrant, and this is my minus minus quadrant. So let's just look at the effect as I go each way. So when I go 90 degrees, these are gonna flip. And I'm gonna bring my signs into whatever quadrant. So that's what it would be after the 90-degree rotation. At 180, it's gonna come down here. My signs are gonna, or my coordinates are gonna flip because my axis flips again. And I'm gonna bring in my signs. And then when I go to my final guy here, I'm gonna go flip them again and bring in my signs to match what quadrant I'm in. And I'm gonna regraph. Whoops. Terrible job of regraphing. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Whoops. Negative 2 would be right here. Negative 5, negative 2. There's my new prime figure. 90 degrees, flip them, bring in my quadrant signs. Another 90 degrees, flip it, bring in my quadrant signs. Another 90 degrees, flip them, bring in my quadrant signs. Okay? If you get used to seeing it that way, it's way more easier to graph these appropriately. Okay? That's all clockwise direction. Let's take a look at counterclockwise. So here, let's just go, we'll go negative 2, 3. Negative 2, 3. Okay? Now when I go counterclockwise, when I'm going clockwise, I'm going in this direction like a clock goes. But this way, if it's counterclockwise, I'm going in this direction. Doesn't really change anything in terms of my thinking. All I'm going to do is go put in my quadrants. Plus, 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 minus, minus, minus. I'm going to look at my move. I'm going 90 degrees. So I'm going this way. So I'm coming down to this quadrant. So I need to flip my coordinates, bring in my quadrant signs, and regraph. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 2. That's where A prime is going to be. Right here. See how I'm just figuring out what quadrant I'm going into? No, it's 90 degrees. I'm flipping every time, flipping my coordinates every time I move 90 degrees, and then bringing in whatever coordinate signs I end on. Okay? If we were going to do another shift, like if I do 180 degrees is the same regardless whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise. So let's just look at 270 degrees counterclockwise. This time we'll go negative 4, 3. I'm going to draw in my quadrant. So this is negative, positive, 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 negative, negative, negative. Okay, and I'm just going to think about where I'm moving as I do this rotation. Okay, so here I'm going 90 degrees into this quadrant, and I'm going to flip my sign, flip them. So I'm going to go 3, 4, and add in my quadrant signs. I'm going to go another 90 degrees into here. They flip again. Bring in my quadrant signs. Okay, and then my 270 would be my final rotation, which gets me here. My coordinates are going to flip again, and I'm bringing my quadrant signs. So I'd be a positive 3, positive 4, which would graph right here. There's where A prime is going to go to. Okay, I know it takes some practice. I know it's kind of hard to see. That's why we're going to have lots of time to practice today. I wish you guys the best of luck. If you just use your math notebooks and use this as a reference, I think it should be pretty simple for you to work through these. But it takes practice and time to get used to doing this. So just take the practice and time necessary and do the great job I know you will do. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. You have till the end of the period to get as much done as this, because this is going to be collected at the end of the period. Thank you.